The arrival. The day began like any other. Sunlight spilled over the gleaming towers of New Elysium, reflecting off polished steel and glass as sky cars darted between the spires. Humanity's cities had become a network of wonder and efficiency, the product of thousands of years of innovation, ambition, and survival. Artificial intelligence silently monitored traffic flows, energy grids, and even climate patterns, leaving humans free to pursue creativity, exploration, and daily routines without interruption. At first, no one noticed the faint shimmer appearing on the horizon. It was subtle, like a ripple in the air, barely perceptible against the backdrop of the city. Office workers paused mid-step, street vendors lifted their heads, and children playing in the park tilted their faces toward the sky. Within minutes, the shimmer resolved into something far more alarming: massive, angular shapes, floating silently above the planet's major capitals. From the vantage point of Earth's orbital defense station, the ships were staggering. They weren't the sleek, aerodynamic vessels humanity had imagined from centuries of science fiction. They were colossal, alien structures, shimmering like liquid metal under the sun. Their surfaces were etched with intricate, undecipherable symbols that pulsed with light, as if the ships themselves were alive. In the control room of Earth Defense Command, General Kalen Rourke stood motionless, his arms crossed, eyes fixed on the holographic display. His brow furrowed as he scanned the fleet. After 6,000 days, they're actually here to fight? His voice was calm, but the underlying tension was unmistakable. The 6,000 days referred to the period since humanity had first encountered the alien species, a span of nearly 2 decades in real time, but more importantly, a stretch of 6 millennia in historical reckoning, as measured by the alien civilization. Dr. Surina Valtor, chief analyst of extraterrestrial communications, was already working frantically at her station, attempting to decipher the symbols emanating from the alien ships. Their energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen. They're broadcasting something, but it's not language as we know it. Her fingers flew across the console, converting signals, scanning for patterns, searching for anything resembling communication. And then the message came. It wasn't a broadcast to a single channel, it was everywhere at once. Giant holograms appeared over cities across the globe, projected by the alien ships themselves. It was as if the entire sky had become a screen, and on it, the alien ambassador Thrixion materialized. His form was humanoid enough to be relatable, yet every feature seemed deliberately alien. Elongated limbs, iridescent skin that reflected the sun in prismatic colors, and eyes that glowed like molten silver. Humans, Thrixion's voice echoed, a resonance that seemed to vibrate through every electronic device on the planet. You have thrived under our watch for millennia. You have grown comfortable in your cities, confident in your achievements, blind to the judgment of those who watch from the stars. Now we reclaim what is ours. For a moment there was stunned silence. The transmission ended, leaving a heavy, palpable tension in the air. Then unexpectedly humans laughed. Not the nervous, uncertain laughter of fear, but the bold, incredulous laughter of those who have survived far more impossible odds than a fleet of alien warships. In the streets, in offices, in parks and markets, people laughed as though the very notion of being intimidated by extraterrestrials was absurd. General Rourke raised an eyebrow. They think 6,000 days of peace have made us weak, he muttered. They don't know humanity at all. Captain Leora Vera, commanding Earth's first orbital fleet, stood beside him, arms crossed, a smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. Then it's time we remind them why humanity has never been easy to conquer. The alien ships began to descend, moving toward major cities with slow, deliberate precision. From the ground, they appeared impossibly massive, blotting out the sun like dark moons. The initial panic that might have swept through less prepared populations was tempered by years of planning, drills, and advanced technology. Automated defense grids activated, energy shields flickered into existence over key infrastructure, and evacuation protocols were already in motion. Humanity had learned to expect the unexpected. Meanwhile, Thrixion continued broadcasting messages of dominance and warning, but the effect was diminishing. His threats, once terrifying, now seemed almost theatrical against humanity's indomitable spirit. Citizens didn't panic, they prepared. Children were ushered to safety, robots managed traffic and utilities, and the military activated defensive networks with quiet precision. In secret facilities beneath the surface, the planet's most brilliant minds, scientists, engineers, and inventors, were already coordinating their response. Among them was Draven Kor, a reclusive genius who had spent decades developing countermeasures specifically for scenarios like this. They underestimate us, he said, eyes gleaming with excitement. They think we are predictable. They are wrong. Humanity's strength wasn't just in technology or firepower, it was in adaptability, creativity, and the ability to turn even fear into a weapon. Soldiers prepared fleets, engineers recalibrated energy shields, and civilians followed protocols without panic. Yet it was the laughter that resonated most. Across the globe, humans broadcast signals of mockery, holographic projections, ironic messages, and humorous commentary designed to confuse and unnerve the invaders. As the alien ships approached the orbit of New Elysium, General Rourke made a decisive order. Deploy the drones. Activate all defense vectors. But remember, this is as much a battle of minds as it is of firepower. Show them what humanity can do. From above, the alien ships appeared invincible, towering, and menacing. From below, humanity's cities shimmered with protective shields, automated fleets hovered silently, and the laughter of billions echoed across the planet, a strange and unnerving weapon in its own right. Captain Vera watched the approaching armada with a mixture of anticipation and excitement. They think they've arrived at the perfect moment to strike, she said. They have no idea they're about to walk into a trap crafted over centuries. Every shield, every fleet, every plan, they underestimate our resolve. Thriction, aboard his flagship, studied the projections of Earth. Frustration flickered in his silver eyes. Humanity did not panic. Humanity did not submit. Humanity laughed. It was incomprehensible, irrational, and utterly human. Prepare for engagement, Thriction commanded. They will bow. They must. But humans were ready. Beneath the surface of the cities, in orbit and across the skies, an invisible network of countermeasures activated, designed not just to defend, but to confound, confuse, and dominate. And as the alien ships continued their slow descent, the world watched not in fear but in quiet amusement, knowing that the greatest strength of humanity had always been its unbreakable spirit, and occasionally a well-timed laugh. And thus, the first day of the 6,000-day war began, not with terror, not with surrender, but with humanity staring down the impossible and laughing at it. Humanity's confidence. While the alien armada loomed above Earth's atmosphere, humanity was far from panicking. In fact, across the globe, from sprawling megacities to hidden underground research complexes, there was a strange, almost infectious confidence. A sense that, for the first time in millennia, humans were confronting a challenge they were uniquely prepared to face. Captain Leora Vera paced in the command deck of her orbital fleet. Holographic displays of alien ships rotated above her, each one massive, alien, and utterly intimidating. But rather than fear, a spark of excitement ignited in her chest. She had trained for countless simulations, studied alien designs, and strategized every possible engagement scenario. Nothing could replace the unpredictability of the human mind, she thought. And that unpredictability was humanity's greatest weapon. General Rourke, she said, addressing her superior via comms, they've studied us for 6,000 days. But all that observation has blinded them to the one variable they cannot calculate, the human spirit. General Kalen Rourke, seated in the central command hub, nodded. His gray eyes were sharp, and his jaw was set in determination. Exactly. They think our peace has made us weak. But we've been preparing in ways they could never anticipate. Every drill, every technology, every innovation, they underestimated the very essence of what makes humans resilient. Below Earth's surface, in one of the most secure research facilities known only to a handful of people, Dr. Dravencore stood amid banks of computers, holographic projectors, and experimental devices. His fingers danced over the controls as he coordinated a vast network of automated defenses, countermeasures, and advanced tactical systems. They've assumed we would respond predictably, Draven muttered to himself, a faint smile playing on his lips. They've calculated what weapons we might deploy, what strategies we might use. What they haven't calculated is creativity. He tapped a sequence of commands, and on the holographic display, drones deployed from hidden orbital bays, each armed with electromagnetic pulses, misdirection protocols, and adaptive weaponry designed to confuse and disable alien targeting systems. Humanity's confidence didn't come from arrogance, it came from experience. The human race had survived countless near-apocalyptic events. They had endured plagues that swept across continents, rogue AI that sought to enslave civilization, supervolcanic eruptions, nuclear conflicts, and catastrophic climate shifts. Humanity had learned to adapt, to survive, and to turn adversity into innovation. And now, faced with a technologically superior alien force, they relied on that experience. Leora's fleet moved into formation above the eastern hemisphere. Each ship was equipped with defensive shields and advanced weapons, but their primary strength lay in unpredictability. No two human fleets moved alike, no two tactics were identical. And that variability, born from human creativity and instinct, was something the aliens could not anticipate. In the skies over New Elysium, civilians watched the unfolding spectacle with fascination rather than fear. Streets were calm, evacuation procedures orderly, and automated drones ensured every citizen was guided to safety. From playgrounds to office windows, people observed the alien ships in awe, their reactions a mix of curiosity, humor, and defiance. Many began broadcasting messages to the alien fleet, images, holograms, and even playful taunts. This wasn't panic. This was humanity asserting itself. Dr. Serena Valtor, chief analyst of extraterrestrial communications, monitored the alien transmissions from Earth Defense Command. "They've underestimated our adaptability," she said, eyes scanning streams of alien code. "Their assumptions are based on patterns we intentionally feed them. We're not just defending ourselves. We're teaching them a lesson about underestimating humanity." On board the alien flagship, Ambassador Thriction frowned as he reviewed reports from subcommanders. The humans were unlike any civilization he had studied. Instead of cowering, instead of submitting, they were preparing, and doing so with a calm, confident intelligence that defied his expectations. Every attempt to intimidate, every broadcast of superiority, was met with laughter. They are not afraid," Thriction muttered, pacing the floor of his command chamber. "How is this possible? We have waited 6,000 days, observed them, studied them. And yet, they mock us." Back on Earth, General Rourke stood before the assembled fleet commanders via secure holocommunication. "Remember," he said, his voice resonant and commanding, "our strength is not just our weapons or shields. Our strength is human adaptability, ingenuity, and resilience. They may have advanced technology, but they cannot predict creativity. They cannot calculate courage. They cannot comprehend laughter in the face of danger." Captain Leora Vera's fleet moved in precise, yet unpredictable patterns. Drones launched silently from orbital stations, weaving through the approaching alien armada, emitting pulses that disrupted targeting systems. Surface cities activated energy shields, diverting the alien assault beams harmlessly into the atmosphere. Each action was precise, yet fluid, an orchestration of human creativity and strategy. On Earth, ordinary humans played a crucial role. Engineers, scientists, and even volunteers worked in harmony, their efforts coordinated through advanced AI. Each drone launched, each shield activated, each holographic projection deployed contributed to a collective human effort that the aliens could neither anticipate nor understand. Draven Core, monitoring the operation from his underground lab, laughed softly. "They've waited for us to be predictable. But we never are." He gestured toward a holographic display of the alien armada. Every shield, every drone, every maneuver, crafted to exploit their assumptions. They think 6,000 days of observation gives them mastery. They've only given us time to prepare. Meanwhile, civilians began broadcasting content designed to confuse the alien fleet. Holographic messages, playful taunts, and even humorous depictions of alien culture appeared in orbit. The laughter of humanity became a subtle weapon, a psychological tactic that further disoriented the attackers. By the end of the first engagement, the aliens realized something unsettling. The humans were not simply surviving, they were confident, inventive, and unafraid. Every strike the aliens attempted was met with ingenuity, resilience, and a touch of humor. On board the flagship, Thriction's frustration grew. "They defy logic," he muttered, staring at the chaotic displays of human tactics. 6,000 days of observation, and still they remain unpredictable. Captain Leora Vera, observing from her command deck, smiled. "This is what happens when you underestimate a species that refuses to be predictable. This is what happens when you forget the human spirit is not a variable, it's a force of nature." And so, humanity's confidence was not born of ignorance or arrogance. It was forged in the crucible of millennia of survival, tempered by ingenuity, and reinforced by the realization that no external threat could ever crush the collective will of an unbroken people. As the alien ships hovered above, preparing for a full assault, humans continued to move with calm precision, adaptive creativity, and an unshakable belief in their ability to endure. For the first time in history, the alien invaders understood that they were facing a civilization whose strength could not be measured merely in firepower or technology. It was measured in resilience, unpredictability, and the unwavering confidence of a species that had survived and thrived against impossible odds. And humanity, as always, was ready. The first strike. The first signs of aggression arrived quietly at dawn. Alien energy beams streaked across the skies above New Elysium, igniting clouds and sending vibrations through the ground. The beams were fast, precise, and terrifyingly powerful, capable of leveling entire city blocks in seconds. Yet, despite the terrifying display, humanity did not panic. In the orbital command station, Captain Leora Vera watched the alien projectiles strike their targets, only to see the attacks fizzle harmlessly against shimmering energy shields that had been silently deployed moments before impact. Cities that had appeared vulnerable were now encased in protective fields, invisibly redirecting the energy into the upper atmosphere. Targeting systems online? Leora asked, her voice calm but charged with anticipation. Yes, Captain, replied Lieutenant Marin Ziv, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. All automated defense vectors are synchronized. Alien energy beams neutralized, civilian infrastructure intact. They won't even know what hit them, literally. Below the city, Dr. Dravencore monitored hundreds of autonomous drones rising from hidden bases. Each drone carried electromagnetic disruptors and adaptive weaponry designed to interfere with alien targeting systems. As the alien ships moved closer, the drones swarmed like metallic clouds, invisible to the naked eye, silently disabling enemy communications, navigation, and propulsion in a symphony of chaos. It's beautiful, Draven murmured, watching the simulations. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, we're giving them unpredictability. The alien fleet, massive and imposing, faltered as the first wave of drones struck. Ships that once seemed invincible now struggled to maintain formation. Energy beams that were supposed to carve paths of destruction began veering off course, colliding with one another, and in some cases, triggering chain reactions that disabled entire units. On board the flagship, Ambassador Thrixion slammed his metallic gauntlets against the console. These humans, how can they interfere with our technology so quickly? 6,000 days of observation and still. They laugh at us, muttered Commander Zerath, one of Thrixion's subordinates, his voice tinged with disbelief. They are not afraid. They mock us as we attack them. Leora Vera allowed herself a brief smile. The humans were not only surviving, they were turning the aliens' aggression against them. And they did it with a sense of humor. Across the globe, human forces responded in an unexpected way. Holographic projections of alien symbols were distorted, exaggerated, and sent back to the alien ships. On some vessels, humans displayed satirical reenactments of alien history, turning the invaders' proud victories into comedic sequences visible on the alien screens. The sheer absurdity of the display disrupted alien focus, causing hesitation in their maneuvers and misfires in their attacks. Laughter as a weapon, General Kalen Rourke said over the global communications network, his voice calm but amused. They think fear is the only response to power. They do not understand the human spirit. Meanwhile, Dr. Serena Valtor analyzed alien fleet patterns. They're improvising, she said, eyes scanning rapidly shifting energy flows and navigational adjustments. They weren't prepared for humans to fight and mock them at the same time. Their systems are overloaded trying to respond. In orbit above the Pacific, Captain Leora's fleet engaged the alien vanguard. They did not attack blindly. Instead, they anticipated alien maneuvers and used misdirection, feints, and electronic countermeasures to turn the armada against itself. A massive alien cruiser attempting to bombard a shielded city suddenly collided with another ship due to manipulated navigational signals, a domino effect caused by the drones and energy disruptors. The resulting chain reaction sent the alien formation into disarray, and humanity's orbital forces moved in to exploit the confusion. Remember, this is not just brute force, Leora commanded. Every strike is calculated, every response creative. Show them that power alone does not win wars. Even civilians became part of the battle. Volunteers on Earth coordinated civilian drones carrying holographic projectors. Entire cities became theaters of psychological warfare, bombarding alien vessels with confusing, comical, and culturally challenging imagery. The aliens were taken aback, not by destruction but by the audacity of human creativity and the absurdity of mockery in the middle of war. On board Thrixion's flagship, frustration reached a breaking point. His voice, usually steady and commanding, trembled with disbelief. They are not afraid. They do not flee. They adapt and they laugh. Ambassador, Commander Zerath said cautiously, their response is illogical. Our weaponry is superior, Yet they remain unbroken. Perhaps they are different from anything in our history. Different? No, Thrixion growled. They are human. And humans are infuriating. Back on Earth, Draven Core initiated the final stage of the first strike. Massive holographic decoys appeared in orbit, projecting false cities, false fleets, and false evacuation protocols. Alien targeting systems, already struggling against drones and disrupted communications, were thrown into further confusion. Ships fired at illusions, energy beams wasted on empty space, and the alien formation began to fracture. The human response was surgical and creative. Not one city was lost. Not one civilian harmed. The alien armada, imposing and terrifying, had been turned into a spectacle of failure, all without humans losing their composure. Leora Vera watched from her command deck, her eyes gleaming. They thought their first strike would terrify us. Instead, we've turned their aggression into opportunity. They are learning a lesson they never expected. General Rourke, observing from Earth Defense Command, nodded. Let this be the first of many. Let them understand that humans survive not because we are strong, but because we are clever, resilient, and unafraid. Fear is their weapon. Laughter is ours. And so the first strike ended, not in devastation but in human triumph. The aliens had unleashed the full force of their technology, yet it had been neutralized by human ingenuity, preparation, and creativity. Their greatest weapon, their overwhelming power, had been rendered ineffective by a species they had underestimated for 6,000 days. For humanity, the lesson was clear. Strength was not just measured in fleets or firepower. It was measured in resilience, in cleverness, in the courage to face the impossible, and in the audacity to laugh while doing it. From the skies above, the alien armada regrouped, their calculations failing to account for human unpredictability. And somewhere deep in orbit, Captain Leora Vera smiled, knowing that the real war had only just begun, but humanity had already won the first round. Humor as a weapon. The skies over Earth were alive with chaos and energy. Alien warships, massive and shimmering like liquid metal, struggled to maintain formation as human drones swarmed and energy shields flickered across cities. Yet, amidst the organized chaos, something unexpected emerged, a tactic no alien strategist could have foreseen: humor. Captain Leora Vera leaned over the holographic command table, her eyes scanning the alien fleet's disrupted movements. They think fear will make us submit, she muttered. They've never encountered humans who fight with laughter. Her words weren't exaggeration. Across the globe, holographic projectors deployed by civilians, military units, and autonomous drones broadcast images designed not to destroy, but to confuse, amuse, and bewilder. Alien symbols were twisted into absurd caricatures. Their cultural history was reenacted as theatrical slapstick, with aliens depicted tripping over their own ships or accidentally firing on one another. Dr. Draven Core monitored the effect on alien systems with a mixture of awe and amusement. Look at this, he said, pointing at streams of data flowing across his holographic screens. Their response algorithms are overloaded. They're not just struggling to target us, they're analyzing whether what they're seeing is real. Below the streets of New Elysium, civilians participated enthusiastically. Artists, programmers, and volunteers coordinated via encrypted channels to send streams of jokes, riddles, and interactive holographic simulations toward the alien armada. The effect was subtle but profound. Alien navigational systems began hesitating. Weapons were misfired. Entire ships collided in confusion, victims of their own technology manipulated by human ingenuity. Even General Kalen Rourke allowed himself a smile. They've underestimated us in ways they cannot imagine, he said over the comm network. Strength is not only in firepower but in creativity. Humor is as much a weapon as a missile when used wisely. The aliens, meanwhile, were in disarray. Ambassador Thrixion had always relied on intimidation, strategy, and overwhelming technological superiority. But his calculations had never accounted for the unpredictability of human laughter. His silver eyes, normally cold and analytical, narrowed in frustration as he watched his fleet falter under what he could only describe as irrelevant distraction. Commander Zerath at his side muttered, "Ambassador, our weaponry is superior, yet they are mocking us. They are not afraid. They find this amusing." They should be terrified, Thrixion growled. 6,000 days of observation and they still refuse to bend. What manner of species is this? Onboard Earth's orbital fleet, Leora Vera coordinated with Dr. Core and other tactical leaders to escalate the effect. Phase 2, she ordered. Deploy interactive holograms. Make them question their reality. Drones released holographic decoys, projecting entire fleets of false ships, false cities, and false evacuation scenarios. Alien targeting systems, already confused, began firing at illusions. Holographic images of humans laughing and gesturing mockingly were displayed inside alien ships, visible on alien monitoring screens and projected in real time across their own hulls. The results were catastrophic for the invaders. Ships collided with one another, energy beams misfired into empty space, and alien coordination began to collapse. The aliens' advanced communication networks struggled to distinguish between real and simulated threats. In essence, humans had turned their psychological strength, creativity, humor, adaptability, into an insurmountable weapon. Meanwhile, Dr. Surina Valtor watched alien communications and behavioral responses in real time. "They're trying to analyze what they're seeing," she said, pointing to a display of neural activity measurements intercepted from alien sensors. "They cannot process laughter. In their biology, humor is illogical. It's destabilizing them." Even on the ground, ordinary citizens became part of the battle. Holographic projectors displayed satirical videos of alien attacks being foiled in absurd ways, ships slipping on planetary debris, commanders chasing after malfunctioning drones, energy beams missing their targets. Across the globe, people laughed along, their voices, laughter, and participation creating a feedback loop of morale that further demoralized the alien forces. Captain Vera watched the alien flagship falter. "They came to intimidate us," she said. "But intimidation only works when the target fears it. These humans do not fear, they adapt, and now they mock." Draven Korn nodded from his underground lab. "Every calculation they made assumed fear would be our first response. But humans do not respond to threats in predictable ways. Our creativity, resilience, and humor have become our most effective weapons. They cannot comprehend it, and that is our advantage." The alien ambassador, Thriction, attempted to maintain order among his ranks. "Discipline. Coordination. Focus," he barked. "The humans are defying every expectation." "Ambassador," Commander Zerath said cautiously, "perhaps they are not merely defiant, perhaps they are superior in ways we cannot measure. Their actions are destabilizing us without using physical force." "Impossible," Thriction roared, pacing his command bridge. 6,000 days of observation, and yet we are humiliated by laughter? This cannot be. Yet it was true. Humanity had weaponized its most intrinsic qualities, curiosity, creativity, and humor, and used them to disrupt an armada of technologically superior invaders. Alien fleets that had descended with confidence now staggered under the combined weight of human ingenuity, morale, and laughter. On the streets of New Elysium, children giggled as holographic aliens slipped, tripped, and collided across projections. Engineers smiled as their drone simulations caused confusion in enemy ranks. Soldiers on the front lines moved strategically while laughing at the absurdity of their own psychological warfare. Every human, knowingly or unknowingly, contributed to the alien armada's unraveling. General Rourke's voice echoed across the comm networks. "Let this be known across the stars. You can threaten humanity with power and technology, but you cannot predict ingenuity. You cannot calculate laughter. And you cannot conquer a species that refuses to be intimidated." By the end of the first day of this unique psychological assault, the alien fleet had lost coherence. Their energy weapons misfired repeatedly. Their navigational systems collided or shut down. Even their internal communication networks were destabilized as laughter, mockery, and absurd imagery invaded every channel they monitored. Captain Leora Vera leaned back, eyes gleaming with triumph. "They came to conquer," she said. "But they're learning the first lesson about humans. We survive by adapting, we resist by creating, and sometimes, we laugh in the face of impossible odds." The aliens had expected terror. They had expected submission. Instead, they were confronted by a species that refused to bow, that used laughter as a shield and ingenuity as a sword. And in that moment, the first truly human weapon revealed itself. Not firepower, not numbers, not brute strength, but the unyielding, unpredictable, and indomitable spirit of humanity. The war had only just begun, yet the message was clear. Humans could not be intimidated, outsmarted, or broken. And, perhaps most surprisingly of all, humans could fight wars with courage, resilience, and humor, a combination so alien in itself that no invader could comprehend it, turning the tide. By the third day of the conflict, the alien armada hovered in disarray above Earth. Their once imposing formations had become chaotic, ships colliding with one another, weapons misfiring, and navigation systems overwhelmed by human ingenuity. But humanity was not complacent. If anything, the confusion among the invaders had given them an advantage, and they intended to exploit it fully. Captain Leora Vera paced on the bridge of her flagship, her eyes scanning the holographic map of the alien fleet. They came expecting fear, she said, her voice calm but commanding. Now they will learn why humans survive. We will turn every flaw, every hesitation into our advantage. Below Earth, Dr. Dravencore coordinated a new phase of defense. It's time to escalate, he said. We've disrupted their systems with drones and holograms. Now we show them that humans don't just defend, we innovate. The plan was both simple and ingenious. Humanity would use the aliens' own strategies against them. Drones projected false fleets and decoy cities, while adaptive energy pulses manipulated alien navigation systems. Alien ships, thinking they were engaging real targets, collided with one another or were lured into traps orchestrated by human commanders. In orbit over the Atlantic, Lieutenant Marin Ziv executed one such maneuver. Hundreds of drones deployed in a precise but unpredictable pattern, forcing a squadron of alien cruisers to chase illusions across the sky. The result was catastrophic for the invaders. Ships veered off course, collided, or were disabled by electromagnetic pulses strategically placed along their trajectory. This is beautiful, Draven said, watching the displays. Every calculation they made has failed. They assumed fear would dominate our response. Instead, they are falling for our creativity. On board the alien flagship, Ambassador Thrixion's frustration reached new heights. The 6,000-year plan of intimidation had crumbled in the face of human unpredictability. They are unrelenting, he growled. Every attack we plan, they counter without fear, without hesitation. How is this possible? Commander Zerath, standing nearby, hesitated. Ambassador, perhaps their strength is not technological. Perhaps it is something we cannot quantify. Impossible, Thrixion snapped. They are primitive. They cannot possess the discipline or intelligence to defeat us. And yet, his eyes scanned the chaotic fleet reports. They adapt. They improvise. They laugh at us. The turning point came when Draven initiated the final stage of the operation. Massive holographic projections of Earth appeared in orbit, showing cities, fleets, and defenses in impossible configurations. Alien ships, unable to distinguish reality from illusion, fired upon the holograms. Each misfire resulted in collisions, energy feedback loops, or forced shutdowns of critical systems. Captain Vera's voice resonated across the comms. Phase 3, execute the traps. Every hesitation is an opportunity. Every miscalculation is a victory. Remember, humans do not merely survive. Humans outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast. The alien fleet, once poised for total dominance, now struggled to regain formation. Ships attempted to fire energy beams only to strike each other. Navigation systems failed repeatedly. Even their communication network became chaotic, unable to coordinate effectively under the barrage of holographic illusions, electromagnetic interference, and adaptive drone attacks. From the ground, civilians watched as alien ships collided mid-air, projected energy beams faltering and failing. Children laughed at the holographic displays, scientists recorded every system anomaly, and soldiers executed maneuvers with precision and confidence. Every human, knowingly or unknowingly, contributed to the unraveling of a technologically superior force. Dr. Serena Valtor analyzed alien behavioral patterns. They are panicking, she said. Their systems are designed for efficiency and fear. But they cannot process unpredictability combined with humor and creativity. Their strategy is collapsing. Even within the alien ranks, dissent began to emerge. Some subcommanders hesitated to obey orders, confused by the human tactics that blended deception, ingenuity, and psychological warfare. Alien pride, once absolute, became a liability. Captain Vera grinned as she watched the chaos unfold. They came to conquer, she said. They found themselves defeated by adaptability, by resilience, by humanity itself. General Kalen Rourke addressed Earth Defense Command. This is the moment we've been preparing for. The aliens believe they can overwhelm us. They've already failed. Every ship disabled, every misfire. It's proof that preparation, creativity, and courage are stronger than intimidation and raw power. Draven Corps initiated the final sequence of adaptive drones, targeting the alien flagship. Holographic decoys and electronic interference prevented Thrixion from effectively countering the maneuver. Alien ships became trapped in a digital maze, colliding or falling into energy traps laid across the orbital space. Thriction's frustration turned to disbelief. 6,000 days of planning, and yet, we are undone by humans? Their strength is unmeasurable. Zerath, standing silently, nodded slowly. Ambassador, perhaps this is the lesson. They are not merely survivors. They are a force of nature. By the end of the day, the alien fleet was in full retreat. Ships that had once inspired terror now fled orbit in disarray, battered and confused by a species that refused to be intimidated. Humanity had turned the tide of battle not through brute strength alone, but through creativity, humor, strategy, and relentless adaptability. Captain Leora Vera addressed her fleet over the comms. This is the first true victory. Remember what it took to achieve it: intelligence, creativity, and courage. Never forget that no matter the enemy, humanity's greatest weapon is itself. Back on Earth, citizens cheered, not only for the survival of their cities but for the demonstration of human ingenuity and spirit. Children played under holographic projections of alien ships, while scientists documented every anomaly, every adaptive response, knowing this knowledge would secure humanity's future. Even Thriction, retreating aboard his flagship, could not deny the truth. Humanity had survived, adapted, and outwitted a technologically superior adversary. The invaders had underestimated resilience, creativity, and laughter, and it had cost them dearly. General Rourke, watching the alien armada recede, finally allowed a smile. "Let this be known across the stars," he said. "Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, not because we are the most numerous. We survive because we are unpredictable, clever, and unafraid to laugh at impossible odds." As the sun set over the horizon, Earth's cities glimmered with lights and energy shields, a symbol of human innovation and perseverance. The first stage of the war had ended, and the message to the cosmos was clear: underestimate humanity at your peril. And somewhere in orbit, Captain Leora Vera looked at the retreating alien ships and whispered to herself, "They thought they could intimidate us. They were wrong. They will remember this day, the day humanity turned the impossible into victory." The turning point. The alien fleet had retreated, battered and confused, but the war was far from over. Above Earth, Captain Leora Vera hovered in orbit, surveying the aftermath of the first major engagements. Alien ships drifted in disarray, their once imposing formations reduced to scattered remnants. Humanity had proven its strength, but Leora knew the true challenge was still ahead. On board the flagship Aegis, General Kalen Rourke convened a strategic meeting with the top human commanders and scientists. "They've retreated," he began, "but this is not victory. They are regrouping. Ambassador Thriction will not tolerate humiliation. We need a way to end this without further destruction." Dr. Dravencore leaned forward, tapping a holographic display that showed alien communications and fleet movement. "They're indecisive," he said. "The first strike failed to intimidate us, the second exposed their vulnerabilities, and now their pride is wounded. But their technology is still lethal. If we continue to fight conventionally, we risk unnecessary casualties." Leora's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "Then we fight differently. We make them understand that humans are not just resilient. We are not just clever. We are unbreakable." The plan was daring, a direct parley. Humanity would send a delegation to the alien flagship, not as supplicants but as equals, confident, unyielding, and ready to negotiate from a position of strength. Leora volunteered to lead the mission herself. The human delegation, including Leora Dravencore and Dr. Serena Valtor, boarded a sleek, shielded shuttle. It pierced the alien blockade, weaving through disabled ships and avoiding erratic energy discharges. The journey to the alien flagship was tense. Every system alert, every shadowed hull reminded them of the stakes. Yet none showed fear. Inside the alien flagship, Thriction awaited. His form was imposing, glowing silver in the dim light of the command chamber. He exuded authority, but beneath his polished exterior, there was unease. The humans had not only survived, they had humiliated him, outmaneuvered his fleet, and rendered his technology nearly useless through ingenuity and unpredictability. When Leora stepped onto the chamber floor, her posture was firm, her gaze steady. "Ambassador Thriction," she said, her voice resonant and commanding, "we've seen your fleet. We've endured your attacks. We've protected our people. Now we are here to speak, not as defeated subjects but as equals." Thriction's eyes, glowing like molten silver, narrowed. "Humans, you defy every expectation. You laughed at our threats, turned our technology against us, and survived what should have destroyed you. And now, you stand here unafraid. Leora's lips curved into a subtle smile. We stand because we have no choice but to survive. But more than survival, we stand because humanity cannot be intimidated. Not by might, not by threats, and certainly not by arrogance. Thrixion paced, his elongated limbs reflecting the soft glow of the chamber. I have observed your species for 6,000 days, he said, voice low and measured. I have seen your achievements, your failures, your culture. I believed I understood you. Yet, I was wrong. Your resilience, your creativity, your laughter in the face of annihilation. It is incomprehensible. Dr. Core stepped forward, confident and calm. You have underestimated us, Ambassador. Not because we are weak, but because you cannot calculate what it means to be human. We adapt. We improvise. We endure. And sometimes, we even turn humor into a weapon. Thrixion's expression, if it could be called such, wavered. For the first time he appeared uncertain. Why do you not fear us? Our technology is superior. Our power unmatched. Leora's gaze was unwavering. Because fear has never been humanity's greatest strength. Our strength lies in our spirit, our creativity, our determination to survive against impossible odds. You cannot destroy what refuses to be broken. You cannot intimidate what refuses to bend. You cannot defeat a species that laughs while facing annihilation. There was a long silence. The tension in the room was palpable, as if the very air held its breath. Thrixion's mind raced, trying to reconcile what he had observed with what he had expected. 6,000 days of observation had led him to assume mastery over humanity. Yet here they were, alive, unbowed, and unafraid. Finally, Thrixion spoke, his voice softer but still resonant. Perhaps I misjudged your species. Perhaps your defiance is not reckless but calculated. Perhaps your laughter is not mockery but confidence. I cannot deny it. You have survived, outwitted, and endured. You are formidable. Leora nodded. We are human. And we will continue to endure. But we do not wish for more bloodshed than necessary. There is no glory in mutual destruction. We can coexist, but we will not be subjugated. Thrixion considered her words carefully. For the first time he weighed diplomacy against pride, survival against ambition. His fleet had been humbled, his plans disrupted. And yet he saw before him not supplicants but a proud, unbroken species. Perhaps a truce is in order, he finally admitted, though the words seemed almost foreign on his tongue. Your species has taught me something valuable. That strength is not only in technology, but in resilience, creativity, and spirit. Dr. Serena Valtor stepped forward. Then let this be the foundation. Not fear. Not domination. Mutual understanding. You do not destroy us and we do not destroy you. But know this, humanity cannot be conquered, cannot be intimidated, and cannot be broken. Thrixion's gaze swept over the delegation, lingering on Leora. For the first time he did not see weakness but defiance. Not mere survival but triumph. Not surrender but the essence of what it meant to be human. Very well, he said finally, voice steady. We will withdraw and reconsider our actions. But understand, we will remember this day. Your species is unlike any I have encountered. Perhaps, the galaxy has underestimated humanity for far too long. Leora inclined her head, a mixture of relief and pride in her eyes. Let this day be known, Ambassador. Humanity survives, adapts, and thrives against all odds. And if challenged again, we will not falter. The delegation departed the alien flagship with dignity and confidence, returning to Earth to share the news. Across the globe, the citizens of humanity celebrated, not only the retreat of the alien forces, but the affirmation of what made their species extraordinary. Resilience, ingenuity, humor, and an unbreakable spirit. For Thrixion, the experience left a lasting impression. The aliens had come to intimidate and conquer, only to discover that humans could not be calculated, predicted, or broken. And as his fleet retreated into the depths of space, he silently acknowledged a truth that would forever shape his understanding of this species. Humans were not merely survivors, they were a force of nature, unyielding and unexpectedly formidable. And on Earth, as children laughed beneath the glowing towers of New Elysium, as scientists documented every anomaly, and as soldiers prepared for future challenges, one thing was certain. Humanity had turned the tide not with brute force, but with spirit, eye, and unwavering confidence. The war had reached its turning point, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. The alien fleet had retreated into the void of space, leaving Earth's skies clear and its cities intact. But humanity did not celebrate solely because of survival. They celebrated because, in the face of overwhelming odds, they had proven something far more profound: that the human spirit was unbreakable, inventive, and, above all, fearless. Captain Leora Vera stood atop the observation deck of the orbital fleet flagship Aegis, gazing at the last of the alien ships disappearing into the stars. Her uniform, slightly scuffed from recent maneuvers, carried the weight of experience and triumph. Beside her, General Kalen Rourke watched silently, nodding at the fleet below. "They'll remember this day," Rourke said, his voice steady. "Not just as a defeat, but as the first time humans turned the impossible into victory without surrendering an inch of pride." Leora's eyes shone. "We've done more than survive. We've shown the galaxy what humanity truly is. Not just clever, not just resilient, unyielding. And sometimes, audaciously humorous, even in the darkest moments." On Earth, the citizens experienced a different kind of celebration. Children played beneath holographic alien ships now harmlessly suspended in orbit. Engineers fine-tuned energy shields and drones, while scientists documented every maneuver, anomaly, and pattern of the alien fleet for posterity. Humanity had survived by skill, strategy, and ingenuity, but they had also survived by uniting, by laughing, and by refusing to bow to fear. Dr. Draven Kaur stood in his underground lab, monitoring residual signals from the retreating aliens. "They thought they could intimidate us," he said, voice carrying a note of triumph. "They assumed superior technology would be enough. But the human mind, our spirit, our unpredictability, was stronger than any weapon they brought." Even Ambassador Thriction, aboard his flagship in distant orbit, could not deny the truth. The humans had survived, adapted, and triumphed, not with brute force but with strategy, creativity, and laughter. His fleet, though technologically superior, had faltered against a species he had underestimated for 6,000 days. And that realization, bitter though it was, would resonate across the stars. In the aftermath of the conflict, humanity rebuilt. Cities that had prepared for destruction now became symbols of resilience. Schools taught the lessons of adaptive strategy, creativity, and the importance of unity. Military academies incorporated psychological tactics and human ingenuity into training programs. And for every citizen, the message was clear: humanity could survive, thrive, and overcome any threat, no matter how impossible it seemed. Captain Leora Vera gathered her crew on the deck of the Aegis, overlooking the glittering cities below. "Remember this," she said, her voice strong and inspiring. "Victory was not just in our shields, our drones, or our weapons. Victory was in our courage, our creativity, and our refusal to yield to fear. Humanity's strength has always been in our spirit. And that spirit is eternal." General Rourke stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the crew. "Let the galaxy know, humans may be underestimated, mocked, and even challenged. But we endure. We adapt. We laugh. And we survive, against every expectation, every calculation, and every impossible threat." The people of Earth understood this victory on a deeply personal level. Families, scientists, soldiers, and children all felt the power of what had been achieved. Not through the destruction of enemies alone, but through the assertion of human creativity, intelligence, and resilience. Humanity had demonstrated that true power is not measured solely in technology, numbers, or aggression, but in the will to endure, to adapt, and to triumph. Meanwhile, in the vast emptiness of space, Thriction transmitted a final message to Earth. His voice was calm, measured, and tinged with respect. "Humans, your species is unlike any we have observed. We came to intimidate. We came to conquer. Instead, we witnessed resilience, ingenuity, and laughter in the face of annihilation. We will remember this day. You are formidable." On Earth, citizens cheered as the message was broadcast. Laughter, music, and celebration filled the streets. Humans had faced an overwhelming force and emerged victorious, not because they were the strongest in firepower, but because they were clever, adaptable, and unyielding in spirit. Dr. Serena Valtor reflected on the significance of the events. "They came expecting fear. We gave them courage. They came expecting submission. We gave them laughter. They came expecting weakness. We gave them humanity at its finest." Children played beneath the shimmering glow of orbital holograms, soldiers trained with renewed purpose, and scientists explored the edges of their knowledge. Every citizen, in their own way, contributed to the lesson learned. Humanity is a force of nature, not to be underestimated and capable of surviving against impossible odds. As night fell, Leora Vera looked at the stars, reflecting on the vastness of space and the challenges yet to come. "We have survived," she whispered. "We have thrived. And if the galaxy dares to challenge us again, we will endure, adapt, and prevail, just as we always have." General Rourke placed a hand on her shoulder. "Let this be remembered not just by the galaxy but by every human. We are resilient. We are creative. We are unyielding. And above all, we are human." And so the lesson was clear. Humanity had faced the unimaginable, and in doing so, had proven that their greatest weapon was not their technology, their numbers, or their firepower. It was their spirit, their courage, their ingenuity, and their ability to laugh even in the darkest of times. The war had ended, but the story of human resilience echoed across the cosmos. Humans had endured, adapted, and triumphed. And the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. You can threaten humanity, but you cannot break them. Humanity had won. Not just in battle, but in spirit, in courage, and in the timeless power of being unbreakable.